Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. You've got a story to share, a message to inspire, and a passion ready to ignite. But where do you start? The world is waiting for your voice. With From Idea to Implementation, Start Your Own Podcast, you'll get the roadmap to turn your vision into reality. This isn't just a course, it's your launching pad. Step by step, we'll break down the process from defining your purpose to recording your first episode so you can finally share your voice with confidence. Stop overthinking it and start doing it. Your voice has the power to connect and lead. Are you ready to use it? Join the waitlist today. Your podcast journey starts now. The world is waiting. You can find the link to sign up for the waitlist in the show notes. We'll see you soon. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest is Jaclyn McCabe. She is a certified professional life coach and an intuitive healer that helps women who feel they don't fit into society's mold. Welcome, Jaclyn. I am so excited and happy to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Brad. Thank you so much for asking me. I'm also excited to be here. It's going to be the highlight of my week.
Thank you. I received that. It is an absolute honor and pleasure to have the opportunity to sit down and share a little bit about the beautiful light you put out into the world through the work you're doing, a little bit about your story and your journey, all of the things, Jaclyn. I am so excited to jump in. So with that being said, let us do just that. How long have you been working as a life coach?
Oh, that's a good question. And I don't always fully know how to answer that. I've been working full-time as a life coach since the pandemic.
Okay.
I went and got my life coaching certification in 2010-ish, but I still had a full-time job in retail. So I was doing it, but it was like a part-time side job that I was doing. So I've been doing it full-time since the pandemic.
Awesome. And so why have you decided to focus your business on specifically helping and working with women? And did this journey into this world and this work begin with your own personal struggles? Was that like the catalyst for you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Are there people that get into this work that it isn't coming from their own struggles of journey?
Very true. Very true.
I mean, yeah, I never felt like I fit in. I never felt like I fit the mold. Yes, that was an internal feeling inside of me, but I feel like I was given that messaging and like verbally and also just subtle messages of just my whole existence of like, I'm too much and not enough and to this and to that and change this and change that. And I never felt like I fit in. And so when I got to a place in my own healing journey that I felt like I was starting to embody my own worth, right? Regardless of the outside messages from the world, I really wanted to pass that on to other women. So that's how I got into this.
And so then how would you say these experiences have helped shape the Jaclyn you are today, both personally and professionally?
Oh, I don't know if there's a difference between personally and professionally. I just think and maybe that's part of my journey, right? Like I think it's all just me. I don't have to have a facade up or an outer person anymore. I mean, I did at one time. My business background is I was in fashion and retail for 15 years.
Right.
I opened a plus size clothing store in 2006. Out of that, like I was a plus size woman and I could not find clothes that fit me. I like that wound of that there's one of the ways that I felt like I didn't fit into it. Like my body literally didn't fit in. And so I did that, and I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I'm not from here, but I've lived here forever. And I had a retail store in the French Quarter for a long time. And then I moved to LA and worked in production and that sort of thing. And then came back and I opened a second store in New Orleans in the Garden District. And in that time, I had changed and shifted, but even then, like I needed a little bit of mask. I needed a little bit of a separation between who I was and who my business was. And so my second store I named Jackie Blue, which at the time was my like social media alias,
Okay.
so people couldn't actually find me on Facebook. And so then I had to person on Facebook
Mhm.
when I started the site. But I was just telling someone the story the other day. I really needed that. I needed that shield. It was almost like Jackie Blue got to be a part of who I was, but I
Yeah.
still got to hide Jaclyn McCabe a little bit. And somewhere in that, as the process of keep healing and healing, at some point I didn't need that anymore. I didn't
Right.
need that persona. I can't, it's weird because it was still me, but it was only like I was showing
You
you a
weren't being
part
who
of
you fully
me.
were.
Yes, 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 yeah, yeah.
Wow. And so how did you finally step into who you fully were? Like, what was the moment for you?
Oh, I don't know if there's one moment. It wasn't like this burning bush moment. I think it was a series of little moments.
Mhm.
So one of the things that happened on my healing journey is actually it's kind of gets a little foggy, but like about 3 years before I moved to Los Angeles, I had a really rough spot in my life, just a really rough spot in my life. And at the time, I probably would have told you I was having a breakdown, and since then, I was sort of like, that was a breakthrough. Like, that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
And what it did is it forced me to go seek actual real help and real healing with the inner demons that were going on in my mind that were making me feel some kind of way about myself that was not inaccurate, no, making me feel unworthy,
Mhm.
and having really bad coping mechanisms around that. And so I got to start changing those coping mechanisms. And then somewhere in that process, about 3-ish years into that, I'm guessing, I ended up out in Los Angeles, which was absolutely transformational for me in a way that it's almost a little bit obnoxious when I'm like, it's so classic, like LA West Coast healing story that I don't even want to admit it. But the short version of what I say is when I went out to LA, I didn't get anything I was looking for. Like the business I was going to start didn't happen. Like the wealth I was going to seek, like none of that happened, but I got absolutely everything I needed.
Mm.
And part of that was everything about all these little identities that I hooked onto were stripped away from me. And I got to figure out who I was without any of that. And then I got to figure out that I liked myself. And then I got to start changing some of my patterns and some of my coping mechanisms and that sort of thing. And so when I came back to New Orleans after that experience, that's when I opened up that second store that I named
Right.
Jackie Blue. And that's when the messaging around self-love and my worth and all of that and plus size fashion and all of that really started to change. But I also needed that buffer somehow.
Yeah.
Like it felt really raw and vulnerable at the same time.
Mhm.
And I just slowly am just showing up differently and showing up differently and showing up differently. I don't know, like somewhere along the way, I just didn't need that buffer anymore. But it took a series of like really vulnerable things. Like one of the things that I know about you is you do boudoir
Boudoir
photography.
photography. Yeah. Mhm.
And one of the healing markers in my journey was having someone take pictures of my body,
Mhm.
like a couple different ways. Like
Yep.
I hired I guess they would be boudoir. We never
Yeah.
called it that. It was
Yeah.
a journalism friend of mine that I trusted. And
Yeah.
we took a couple different times. We did naked pictures of my house. And then another time I like reached out to a person on the internet
Mhm.
that I liked their work around body and I
Yeah.
covered myself in glitter and ran down the street. Like all of that sort of thing peeled away in a layer. And like, one day I would like my first store, I wore Spanx every day. And in my second store, I never wore them. Like
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
Transformation. Huge.
Yeah, I don't know what the moment was.
Yeah. Okay. What would you say then was one of the biggest or most valuable takeaways from those experiences for you?
That I was okay no matter what. That I was worthy no matter what. That it didn't matter what other people thought of me.
That's a hard place to get to.
Oh, it's when I'm not perfect about it. I wish, right? I wish. But that's still a balancing beam for me. But when I'm on that beam, it's like a spiritual marker for me. It's like
Yeah.
this everything's gonna be okay. And not the other, yeah, that right there. Like that, what other people think of me is none of my business.
Mhm.
It doesn't take away from my worth. My body doesn't take away from my worth. The messaging from the world doesn't take away my worth. Like it's a relationship between me and I guess God, for lack of a better word.
Mm. And so how has your own personal journey then helped shape your coaching philosophy and the women you work with?
I bring everything. I don't know if this is going to answer your question, so tell me if it doesn't. But one of the things when I got into coaching is I said, I'm going to bring everything that's helped heal me
Mhm.
to my client. And so if I'm constantly like taking workshops and doing classes and reading books and that sort of thing, and if I read something in there, I want to pass that on that was helpful for me to hear. I want to pass that on to you. If I learned a technique to how to, I always say the inner critic, I use that as our inner
Yeah.
mean girl, right? So if I've learned a technique to calm my inner mean girl, I'm going to pass that on to you.
Mhm.
If there's something, I don't know, there's a journaling exercise or anything, like anything, I tell my clients in the get go on the enrollment call that like anything I give you is homework, just assume I have done it myself
Yeah.
and I know that it works.
Yeah.
Like that. So I think is that answering your
Yeah,
question? Like I just
absolutely.
bring it all.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So why is this work and this mission of yours that you're on so important to you?
Oh, all right. I've got several thoughts that just popped up at once. I had a little bit of an aha moment with this earlier, just in the last couple of weeks. And I hesitate to share this because I'm sure my mom is going to listen. And I don't mean this to hurt her feelings in any way because I love her so much and we have such a beautiful relationship. But my family doesn't have the best coping mechanism.
Mhm.
And that's really hard for me to be around sometimes. And because of that, I wasn't raised with the best coping mechanisms. And none of this is anybody's fault. Like, I
Right.
don't, like, nobody has good coping mechanisms unless you're taught them. And so there's a run for me in there, but there's also a healing in there for me.
Mhm.
And so that is like part of me healing that wound is to pass this on to other people, not just in myself.
Yeah,
I think there's a spirituality in there as well. And I think it just breaks my heart over and over again, men and women, right? Like
mhm,
I feel like I'm in this place lately where all I can see it is in men. I've been seeing it in women for decades and decades. And now I'm starting to also see it like I was like kind of tunnel visioned in it.
yeah,
And I'm seeing it in men too. And we just have this tragic place where there's this wound of worthiness. Like no one understands that they're just inherently worthy as they are and that they don't need to numb out. They don't need to mask things. They don't need to change this or that about themselves. Yeah, that help. Like some of those things help,
for
like, but
sure.
more of the emotional pieces of changing the way you show up, more of the
Yeah,
coping mechanism.
yeah,
And that's I don't know. That it just breaks my heart when I see that over and over again. So if I can be a little bit of a ripple in there,
mhm.
like I feel like I have been taught that as a piece that has been given freely to me, and so can I pass that on to others, and maybe that helps heal that wound.
That's exactly it. When we learn something new that helps us in our journeys, of course, I mean, I shouldn't say of course, because not everyone is like this, but I think inherently good people, when they learn something that helps them heal or helps them get through whatever it is, or they want to fucking shout it from the rooftops and share it because
Yes,
you don't want to see
yes,
other people suffer and go
no,
through. I mean, albeit our
no,
journeys are all different. Our journeys are all individual because we are individuals. We're unique individuals. But if we can share wisdom that is going to help someone else on their journey, why the fuck wouldn't we? That's part of our job here. It's part of our duty here on earth is to help each other, help our fellow humans. So why wouldn't you share that with someone?
yeah,
Right?
absolutely. But we're not taught that. We're not shown that
No, we're not.
there's this wound in Western culture. I don't know about Canada, but I know in America. So I have a background in anthropology.
Hmm.
So I like to go to the root. I like to go to the source. I like to be like, and then I bring that into my spiritual practice and I'm like, okay, what's the ancestral lineage here?
Let's
And
excavate.
there's yes, let's excavate. Get me like I want to figure it out, which
Hmm.
sometimes is my superpower, and sometimes that figure it out is the greatest weakness.
Detriment.
But if I think about there's this wound in the American dream,
Yeah.
and it's this idea that it's this math equation, and it's you got to do X, Y, Z in order to get the glory land,
Yeah.
whatever that is. But it's not a solvable math equation. It's not something that sets you up for success. It's something that constantly makes you feel like shit about yourself.
Yeah.
And then convinces you need to go buy something in order to fill that wound that it's created, because you can't get there. And if you can't buy enough stuff, then you got to like fill that hole with some sort of addictive, numbing behavior. Or, I mean, all of it, right?
Yeah,
like
for
all
sure.
of it over and over again, and unattainable. Whether we're looking at that through the myth of the beauty myth, through the body standards, if we're looking at that through the business entrepreneur aspect, when none of it is set up for us to succeed. It's all set up for us to fail over and over again and feel shittier and shittier and shittier about ourselves. And it's once I figured that out, it was like, oh, there is a different way, but that way also comes with support, right?
Yeah.
That's the other thing that's missing in that lineage.
For sure.
That like we need to do it all by ourselves.
No.
Like you don't need support, you don't need help, and that's not
you can't. It's not sustainable. You can't do it by yourself. We do need support, but we have been conditioned to believe that you're supposed to do this on your own. You're supposed to do it alone, and it's weak. It's a sign of weakness to ask for help when it's actually the exact opposite. It's a sign of strength when you ask for help. When you can admit that you need help, that is a huge sign of strength and winning. When you can admit that you need help and ask for the help, find your voice and ask for the help. That's, I think.
And that right there, that asking for the help, that might be the scariest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, for sure. It's hard. It's not easy.
Yeah.
That's huge vulnerability.
But I'm also like, but also that's the secret. Like that might have been the spiritual experience that first day when I asked for help. And then each time I ask for help over and over again,
it gets easier.
It does get easier, but not always.
No, because we're still battling with this. But if you continue to do it and you surround yourself with people who are of like mind, who are in your communities, it's reciprocated. You give each other help. You support each other. That's the key.
For sure. Yeah.
What would you say are 3 of the most important lessons you've learned in your career as a life coach in the women you work with?
One is that, I don't know how to phrase this. I'm going to take me a minute to get there, but our shame is ordinary. The things that we think are so shameful in our own stories, it's common. It's everybody has it. And it's the thing that keeps us stuck. It's the thing that keeps us from getting help. And it's the thing that feels so big, like it's going to kill you. And then it's so common. The thing that I don't know how else to say.
We're not alone.
Like whatever that story is you're telling yourself that no one will ever relate to this. It's like they tell me and I it's almost laugh. And I'm like, oh, honey, let me tell you about mine.
But I mean, the journeys, they're not exactly the same, but people have been through similar things. You are not the only one to have ever gone through this.
And I like to think of that as like the Mad Libs version of our life. It's if we can look through the similarity, like the people places now. I haven't played Mad Libs in a long time. I probably should pull them back out because I use this analogy all the time and I really don't remember what I'm talking about. But it's fill in the blank with the verb and the noun and the whatever. But the story is the same. The feelings are the same. Our pain is not unique, but our pain wants us to think it's unique. And it's the thing that will drown us and suffocate us by thinking that. Yeah,
for sure. And so 2 other lessons?
I think that's 1. What's 2 and 3? I'm not good at these. But if you're willing to change, you can. You can't help somebody who doesn't want to change.
Yep.
Like you can't, like that whole thing, like people don't change.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. People who want to change will.
Yeah.
And that is usually motivated by pain. Like pain is the catalyst for that change.
Yeah.
But if you're willing, if you show up just a little bit willing, I know that the work's going to work for you. And then I don't know what number 2 is.
That's okay. 2 is good. 2 is good. Jaclyn.
I'll think of it tomorrow.
You'll send me an email. Brad, I remembered what the 3rd thing was. What lights you up or inspires you the most about the work that you do?
Watching people change, watching people walk through their fear. And I think that lights me up the most. There's so many times maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'll take the mask down a little bit. There's sometimes I work with people and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if this is going to work. And then we get into it and it starts working and that lights me up. That like people like helping people walk through fear. Like I
Mhm.
always think of this acronym of fear is like false evidence appearing real.
Mhm.
And so therefore the coping mechanism is usually fuck everything and run. Like the false evidence appearing
Mhm.
real makes
Yeah.
us fuck everything and run. And but the healing's response to that is face everything and rise, which is the fucking terrifying thing to do,
Yes,
right?
for
Like the
sure.
running's the easy way, right? But
Mhm.
it keeps us stuck. And that moment when a client will decide to stop running and that looks different for everybody, like
Yeah.
whatever that insert coping mechanism,
Yeah.
right? We'll just call that running, like insert
Mhm.
whatever coping mechanism it is. And we are wildly tricky about our coping mechanisms, but the minute they decide to do that and step into something different, that lights me up, that keeps me going. I call those like the door number 2 moments. Like we talked about that a little bit in our pre-interview. Like
Yeah.
I feel like door number 1 is that fuck everything and run. Like I've done the
Mhm.
same thing over and over and over again. I know what happens when I walk through that door. Like what happens when I walk through that second door? That's interesting to me.
Yeah.
And that lights me up to watch a client do that. And I feel like that was my moment all those years ago when I had that breakdown.
Yeah.
That was my door number 2 moment. And then I've been joking since the pandemic that I'm in door number 3 now. I'm like, because now I'm like, okay, what's the next level of showing up? What's the next level of showing up? What's the next level of showing up?
Yeah.
And that is just a tremendous amount of faith for me. I saw that I should have screenshotted it because it was one of those reels that I shared and then it
Mhm.
disappeared. I need to go look through my archives and see
Yeah.
who quoted this, but I just saw this over the weekend on Instagram. It was somebody, I'm going to probably bastardize the quote too, but it was something like faith and fear are both invisible things. Which one are you going to choose to follow? Something like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm probably saying it wrong, but I was like, yeah, because fear is also invisible. So
Yep.
it's faith. But if I align myself in that faith, the world changes.
Yes.
That's the door number 2, door number 3 for me.
Yeah, for sure. What are a couple of the most common obstacles that you see women facing when trying to make significant changes? And how do you help them navigate those challenges?
I think over and over and over again, I think it's an outside job.
Yeah.
I think that goes into that American dream. I think that goes into Western culture. I've started calling it not good enough culture because it's just once everything you do, once you get not good enough. But I think over and over again, they still want, and I get it because it's scary. It's scary to like, it's scary. It's that thing Brene Brown says, you have to have a strong back, a soft front, and a wild heart. Like you got to stand on a ledge if you're going against your coping mechanism. If and then you're really like going against what you learned, right? Like I had to go against my family's coping mechanisms in order to try something different.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. So like that thing in there, and then that, because it's easier to think, oh, if I just fix this part of my outside, so I think people still get tripped up on that, and just people don't think they're courageous enough.
Yeah. Self-belief. For sure.
Yeah. Limiting beliefs.
Self-limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
We all have them. We all go through it at different times. It's just a matter of,
yeah,
I think, learning and finding the tools that work best for you and learning to use them so that when those moments do come up, because they're going to, just because you conquer it at one point or with one particular thing does not mean it's not going to come back into your life again. But if you have the tools and the skill sets, you can then use those tools and skill sets to turn the volume down much quicker than you could previously. And that's the key, because they will come up again, undoubtedly. There's no avoiding
for sure. There's no, not at all. There's a couple I like to teach in metaphors and analogies, and then I get them all mixed up together. And who knows? I'm always like, when I start going with the client, I'm like, hang on. One of my clients goes, is it going to be a 5 analogy say? I'm like, maybe more. Let's see what happens. But what you're thinking, if you think of, it's 2 different things. Like healing as a spiral staircase, right? And so as I'm like on the spiral staircase, I keep coming back to the landing, and there's my gunk, there's my shit, there's I'm not good enough. I mean, I'm not immune to that, even as a coach and a healer. Like there's my shit, right? It's always going to be the same message over and over again. And I'm going to rely on old coping mechanisms of freezing and keeping my tongue quiet and blah, 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 like all the stuff. But each time I get to the landing, I don't have to stay there as long because of all the tools and the evidence. And I feel like our evidence of the landings that came before us is what I can lean into as a tool. And it's okay, last time this worked, let me lean into that evidence again on this tool and then I'll go forward. And so I don't have to stay on the landing as long each time. But also, I don't know if this is your experience or not. I also feel like each time I get to a landing, it's almost a little bit more painful because it hits a deeper spot inside of me.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
I get it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
How do you, Jaclyn, maintain a balance between your professional life as a coach and your personal life?
Boundaries.
B word.
I mean, just like physical things. I have an office in my backyard. I very rarely take my laptop into the house. Like, I will literally like walk across the yard and change my clothes at the end of the day. Like that. There's like physical things like that. But also, I not coaching my friends, not coaching my lovers, not coaching like my family. Or if I do ask permission, like I find myself sometimes saying, "Do you want Jaclyn's response or Coach Jaclyn's response?" Like that sort of thing. But I think for me, it's boundaries because I need to be a flawed human. Like I need to show up and I need to have the same support from my trusted girlfriends and like I need to not always have an answer. I need to fuck up. I need to have my own whatever.
Yeah. Okay. What self-care practices do you incorporate into your daily routine to ensure that you stay grounded and energized? Because coaching people, listening to other people's stuff, that could be very draining.
Yeah, I have a plethora of practices. I can't say I'm in a routine of one that I do on the daily, but one of the things that I have a lot of support in my life. I have a tremendous amount of support in my life, and I feel like I'm on a landing right now where I'm going through a transition, and I have never been so grateful for all the support that I have in my life. So that's one thing. I have my own healer and coach that I go to. I have business support. I have just like a tremendous group of girlfriends that are on the same healing journey that can support me and that sort of thing. So that no matter what, I have support in my life.
Yeah.
And then I have a deep faith. And I'm not in religion so much, but like in some spiritual practices. And so no matter what, that's in my day, like support from human support and non-human support is in my life every day. And then I do things like take care of my body and eat food most of the time that feels good and right and true in my body. And I don't really have a routine of, I get up and I read and I meditate and I this and I that. I don't do that, but I get up in the morning and I drink my coffee and I think about my day and I go, okay, how am I going to move my body today? And what does my body need? How does it need to be moved? Does it need to yoga? Does it need to swim? Does it need to walk? Does it need to rest? Art is a big practice for me in that I process so many of my feelings and emotions through art. And so it's, do I need to do art today? How am I with that? And then is that going to be writing? Is that going to be collaging? What's that going to look like? So it's just this kind of daily check-in with myself of what do I need?
I love it. How has being a life coach influenced your own personal growth and self-awareness?
I think that's a chicken and an egg.
All right.
An egg. I just think they influence each other. I don't think the practice, other than it's opened me up to different type of support for my own life. Like when I realized I needed a different kind of business support than when I was an entrepreneur. And so I joined this business support group that's called Thriving Healers, and it's for coaches and healers. And it's giving me a different kind of support around that is really filling up my life. But other than that, it's chicken and egg. I don't know. It's one or the other.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
As an intuitive healer, obviously spirituality plays a big part in all of this. I'm very curious to hear how your spiritual journey began. Was there a moment or a couple of moments that led you down that spiritual path?
Yeah, when I had that breakdown.
Yeah.
Pain.
Pain was nice.
Tremendous amount of pain was a catalyst in my spirituality. I grew up in the church and all that sort of stuff and very like Midwest. We say I'm a Midwest farmer's granddaughter. And when Bible Belty and that sort of thing, I always say where I grew up was like, it's like it's footloose kind of town.
Yeah.
And so that sort of thing. So there was religion all around, but it never felt supported. It was
Mhm.
supportive. It was part of the catalyst that made me feel like I wasn't enough. It was part of this messaging.
Yeah.
And so I had to break free of that at some point. And then the pain that I was in opened up this deep connection with God, for lack of a better word.
Mhm.
And really started, like, it kind of cracked open the door. And the longer I've stayed on the path, that has gotten bigger and bigger and more into my life. And so when you go back to that question about what's my self-care, there is always, I'm not, I will say, I sit and meditate. Don't get me wrong on that. And I probably do that every day, not at the same time, but I do that. But I am in a constant dialogue with a power greater than myself, for lack
Mhm.
of a better word. I don't even know what to name it, but that only started through pain. That only started from emotional turmoil and really shitty, abusive coping mechanisms that were no longer working for me.
So when and how did you realize that you had the gift of being a healer and your spiritual gifts? And did you struggle at first to understand and realize your gifts, or was it fairly easy for you to embrace and step into?
I've only recently been saying it out loud on the internet.
Closeted spiritual.
Like, the fact that I like put it in my bio for you was like a step for me.
Mhm.
I started working with an intuitive healer. It's been so many years that neither one of us know. It's sometimes she's 5 years ago, and I'm like 15 years. Who knows? It was sometime when I came back from LA, so somewhere around 9 or 10 years ago. I started working with a intuitive healer on a whim.
Mhm.
Like, had no idea. Like, that's one of those, I feel like God put this person in my life. Like, one of my best friends, I was dealing with a health issue, and one of my best friends was probably tired of hearing me complain about it. And she said, "Oh, I have a friend coming in town to visit. She's a healer. If she wants to work while she's visiting, would you want to assess her?" I'm like, "Yes." And yeah, I had no idea anything about this person.
Yeah.
And so I did this session with her, and it changed my life. And then she said, "I can do this long distance." And I said, "Oh, okay, whatever, lady." And then I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I don't know, messenger at some point and said, "Okay, I want to try this long distance, but just once. I don't want a package. I don't want to, like, whatever, just once." And she did it. And it was a really powerful experience, long distance. And so then I just started working with her. And in that process of working with her, my own intuition started opening up. Like, in that way that I can't really say I had a burning bush moment, but
Yeah.
like somewhere along the way, my own intuition started, and I started seeing things. I started feeling things. That's how it
Mhm.
started. My clairvoyant, like my kinesthetics or whatever,
Yeah.
kicked in first. And I started feeling things and could feel things in my own body would start first. And then I could start feeling things in the energy in the air and things around people. And then I would see things, but I
Mhm.
didn't always trust that, because in my head it was supposed to look something. It was just like a hologram, and I was
Yeah.
like, and I wasn't. But I was having all these clairvoyant things happening, and all these messages coming through in dreams, and just knowings, like downloads, knowings, just like deep spiritual knowings and voices. Like, this still happens to me, and this is something that it took me a while to learn to trust. But I'll be in
Mhm.
a coaching session, and I will have a question in my head that I'm about to ask the person, and something else comes out of my mouth. And it's always it never was supposed to be the question I was going to ask. And I go, "Okay, that must have been the spirit guides." But it took me a while to trust the visions that I was seeing in my coaching. And I remember this is maybe about a 4-year-old story. I remember very vividly, I was seeing this client, and I kept seeing this little girl dressed as Wonder Woman standing in front of the mirror. And she was like in this tough phase and trying to like barrel through something. And I mentioned that vision to her, and I said, "Oh, it just feels like you're like Wonder Woman standing in front of the mirror." And she started crying, and she's, "I've done a Wonder Woman outfit my whole time when I was 4 years old, whatever." So I started having more moments like that. And I started going,
Mhm.
"Okay, I'm just going to keep trusting what I'm seeing, and
Yes.
trusting what I'm feeling, and just trust." And it was, and that was a tool I had to practice.
Mm.
And then as that opened up, I went and got some training and learned some different healing techniques. I'm still kind of seeking some more of those out.
Yeah.
I'm not quite satisfied with that right now in my life, but I'm looking for more of that. But I'm seeking, I started, when it started coming in more and more, I started seeking other spiritual people around who could help me hold that and help me explain that and help me practice that and part of that business coaching group that I'm in is part of that. And that's why I feel so supported through that. And for a while, it just felt like it was me and this one woman in Vermont who was my healer and nobody else in the world. And it feels bigger than that. And I'm starting to practice and trust that more. And it's one of the things that I'm starting to come out of my secret hiding shell and
Your
talk about
spiritual
openly.
closet.
My spiritual closet, because of the wounding of my childhood, because of the religious wounding of my childhood, there's a voice in my head that doesn't want me to talk about it because of the devil or whatever. But also just, I still, when someone talks about God, I go, like, I still have that wound of, don't put your God on me. Don't put your God, like, whatever that is, there's still this deep place that I'm healing in that as I continue to do this work forward.
Beautiful. Can you explain the connection between emotional, mental, and physical health from an intuitive healer's perspective?
Oh, I don't know. How do you explain that? It's all enmeshed. It's all intertwined. I see it in my clients, but more so, it's easier for me to feel it in my own body. I've been going through a grief process these last few weeks, and it's so fascinating to me, like, where that's coming out. Like, I'll do yoga and I'll be like, oh, my left hip is tighter than my right hip. Okay, that's the female side. That means I need to stop trying to figure things out and lean into some more faith because I'm blocked there.
Right.
And so I feel like that's sitting in my body and my hips. And other times in my life, if I'm in heavy self-judgment, my right shoulder will start aching. Like, it's literally like I will stick a knife in my own shoulder and judge myself with that somehow. And so it's that sort of thing. Like, it's all like we hold it in our bodies.
Yep.
We hold it in our energy fields. And that's the thing that I'm gifted at, is clearing that out of your energy field, clearing those stuck emotions. But I also believe it's in the physical too. So when I was noticing, going through this grief process, how locked up my hips were and like where I was holding this stuff. I mean, outside of my heart was just gaping open too, but it was like I was holding this stuff in different parts of my body. Not only was I getting like spiritual healings, energetic healings, I also went and got a massage, like a deep tissue massage, because I needed to release some of that out of my body, out of my cells and into. So it's all meshed up into one to me. I don't know the difference anymore. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
I feel like I'm not answering your question.
No, you're good. You're good. So being a life coach and a healer, how do you integrate the two paths? If you do, do they often do you cross-pollinate them usually when you're working with your clients?
Yeah. I'm struggling right now with language on like how do I identify and tell people what I do? So I just sort of saying coach and healer. When you're in my chair, like when you're sitting across from me, either on Zoom or in person, because I see people both depending on where you live. Yeah. My intuition just automatically turns on. So like so you were asking earlier about what does that look like in my real life? I have boundaries. I will not do that with my friends. I won't do that with someone I'm dating. I won't occasionally it'll come in and I'll say it like a girlfriend's going through something and my intuitive stuff will start coming in and I'll say, oh, I'm feeling your energy field. Are you okay with that? That's a boundary that I will have. But like, I won't, I will not. I don't want to see my friend stuff. I don't want to see my boyfriend stuff. I don't want to I want to, because I want to be a human experience. But so it just I can feel their energy fields just like in the room while we're coaching. And like I said earlier, like questions will just come through me that I don't know. And the visions and that sort of thing. I'm working out right now on like how to incorporate more of the actual lay on my table and get a healing.
Yeah.
Because so much of what I do is they want to talk it out and we want to do these new coping mechanisms and all this sort of stuff. And I want to give them that space because, as you can tell, I'm a talker. So that's very important to me. And so what I've been doing recently is like once a month, you get a 90-minute session with me instead of a 60-minute session. You make sure you get table time. Like you make sure you get that sort of thing. Or other times it'll just be like, well, let's cut this talking short and let's just get you on the table. Like it just
depends on the situation.
And the client. On the situation. Yeah. But it's coming in while we're working regardless.
Right. Yeah. So how do you cultivate and strengthen your own intuition? And what is one tip or takeaway that you can provide that listeners can implement immediately to start shifting and in shifting their mindset and incorporating their healing and intuitive gifts into their lives and utilizing them.
Practice and trust.
That trust piece is a tough one.
That trust piece. I swear to God, I set an intention a couple of years ago that I would pick, just from intention, I picked 2 words, and it was faith and trust. And I have regretted that for the last 2 years. I'm telling you. It's that trust piece. But I also think you can ask the spirit world, whatever that is for you. That is part of it. Like, I set an intention, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago to work on my intuition.
Yeah.
Like, I set that intention, and then it's being open-minded enough to believe it when it's coming in. Okay, I'll give you a really practical tool. I do this with everybody. This was something that was passed to me, and I love this so much. So if you want to start having a relationship with a power greater than yourself or your spirit guides or whatever you're going to call that, you have to start communication with them. And so someone said to me, this is probably the most powerful exercise I ever did. And I don't do it super often anymore, but I definitely have all my clients do it at some point. Go get a little notebook from the dollar store. Do not overthink it. It doesn't need to be fancy. Like, just go get a notebook, something that's small enough will fit in your back pocket, fit in your purse, whatever. When you have a coincidence, write it down. And that starts, because I don't believe in coincidences, right? And so that
no such thing.
Starts that communication. You start paying attention, and then you start seeing them. And then you start this conversation, right? Then the guides are aware that you're aware, and you start this conversation. And that is probably the most powerful practice if you want to start from, no matter what.
Yeah.
Other little tiny things I do is, I don't know, like, I notice bird feathers a lot, and I just pick them up no matter what. And it's my little thing, like, okay, I see you, you see me, whatever. I will pick up a penny. I don't care how dirty or disgusting that floor is or that street is. I will pick up a penny or a dime every time I see it. And because it's that, okay, I see you, see me. It's that sort of thing. And that's the catalyst that starts that communication. And then just trust it. Trust the coincidence.
Yeah. I get the feathers all the time, and I know that's my grandmother. Feathers all the time. And I know that's her talking to me, sending me messages. And I pick up every single one of them. I have a journal, and I've got tons of feathers in the journal. I got to do something with those feathers, create something with them. But yeah, I pick every feather up that I see, because I know that's her, and that's her sending me a message to let me know.
I love that. I have a jar in my office with feathers in it. Every time I pick a feather, I think, oh, I'm going to remember where I got this one. And then I'm like, oh, I don't know which one's which anymore. But I pick them up all over the world. I do know I have some swan feathers from the last time I was in Sweden. But, those are swan feathers. We don't have those here. So I know for sure where those came from.
Yeah,
but some of these other, and I have a couple hawk feathers, but I'm like, oh, which one was this hawk feather or whatever. But some of them, I don't even know what bird this is. It's pretty.
I just pick them up and I keep them. I put them in my journal. I've got a few sitting right beside me over here. I have not put them in the journal yet.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And then just pay attention in that. Yes. There's a thing in that, right? Yep. Like, I remember, like, this is a couple-year-old story too, but I had a client, we spent a whole session talking about crows. Like, I'm not gonna get into the details of it, but we spent a whole thing talking about crows. And then an hour later, I went to go meet a girlfriend for dinner, and I parked my car, and there was a crow feather sitting there, and I was like, okay. There you go. That goes in the coincidence journal, right? You pick up that feather's actually in my car. I still know where that was in my car because I just left it in the visor.
Jaclyn, who in your life has had the biggest impact on you, and why?
I don't know if it's one person. The women in my life who are on healing journeys that are just a little bit further along than me. And there's a multitude of them. Or that are right next to me, right? Like, just these women that I've cultivated in my life. I love hanging out with older women that are older than me. I want their wisdom. I want you to, whether it's like physical things of, oh my God, what's happening to my body? Tell me about perimenopause, please. Or if it's just, how did you get through grief? How did you this? How did you that? When just my girlfriends that are on the same path that I'm on. Like, one of my girlfriends sent me a meme earlier this week, and it was a screenshot of a text thread, and it just said, the text message back and forth was like, are you okay? No. Are you okay? No. Love you. And I went, oh my God, they're following us on the internet, because she is also going through a similar grief as me. And I think that's been our daily text to each other. But it's like, how do we walk through that together? So it's all these women in my life that we're walking through these paths either together or they're a step ahead of me. And it's not just one, it's a village.
And that's what it is with coaching or guiding or mentoring, right? Is the mentor, no one's better than the other. It's about you're just a couple steps ahead of me, and you're sharing
Yeah.
that knowledge
Yeah.
and that wisdom or that experience so that
Yes.
I can get there too.
Yeah. If there's one thing that I want my client, don't put me on a pedestal. I've
No.
just been doing it a little bit longer than you have.
And that's all it is.
That's
We're
it.
just a
That's the
couple steps
only
ahead.
difference between me and you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the shit coming out of my mouth, honest to God, is something I just learned about myself 2 days before. Right. But
That's
it's still
it.
a step ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. What was a turning point in your life and how did it affect you?
I think it was that moment where I referred to a while ago where I had that so it was this like I was miserable. I was in my early 30s and I was miserable. I might have been 30 still, I don't know. And I was miserable and I had fixed all the things on the outside that I thought were going to fix me. Like I had a house and I had degrees and I had a successful business and I hated myself so much that I had weight loss surgery, and I have a lot of mixed feelings about that we can get into today or some other time or whatever. But but I did it for all the wrong reasons.
Right.
I did it because I thought it was going to be the thing that was going to fix me, and I was smaller than I had ever been, maybe since high school, and I had been in another emotionally abusive relationship, and he left, and I just remember I was so broken. And I was like, I had fixed all these things. Like on the outside, everything looked okay.
Mm-hmm.
It looked great. You wouldn't have known anything. And I was dying on the inside and I didn't know what else to do.
Wow. That's tough. And that I think that also plays into the conditioning with as long as everything looks good on the outside, keep up the appearances. It doesn't matter what's going on inside. Just as long as it looks okay on the outside, everything's all right, which is bullshit.
I didn't know how to process feelings. I was numbing myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was putting walls up in ways I didn't even realize. I couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't do it anymore.
I think
So
we get to a point where we're so tired.
That would be the first one. Yeah, like just exhaust, and I couldn't fake it anymore. I think that was the other thing. Like I couldn't fake it anymore, and I just had done all. I think back on that, and I was like treading water, right? Like I just done all. Oh, let me do that. Let me change my hair this color. Let me lose weight. Let me do that. Let me try this. Let me try that. Blah, 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 blah. Maybe this man will help me. Like whatever. Nothing filled that hole inside of me that I so desperately was trying to fill. So that was the first moment. And so I guess that's the most profound one.
Yeah.
But since then, I mean, there's turning points left and right. Like LA is another very obvious one for me. But I promise you, this grief that I'm going through right now, I will look back at this at some point in my life and be able to name this as a turning point. This week right here, I can name the pandemic as a turning point. I can name getting my autoimmune disease diagnosed that took 4 years to figure out. There's so many over and over again, but I couldn't have had all these other ones if it wouldn't have started with that first one.
That's
the
right.
First time I was willing.
Yeah, that was the catalyst, that one.
Yeah.
For everything. For the shift for everything. What is one of your biggest failures or teachable moments, we'll call it, and what did you learn from it?
Oh, I just don't use that word anymore. Do you know Pema Chodron, the Buddhist nun?
No.
There's this Buddhist nun named Pema Chodron. I'm probably not saying her name right, but she has this philosophy of fail again, fail better. And I don't know if I think about failures anymore in that same way. I think of them as just their growth edge. They're just another opportunity to grow. I think there's been things on paper that look like failures to other people. I remember coming back from LA feeling very victorious, and my dad said something about what I went out for didn't work. Like the business I went out there to start never got taken off. And my dad said something trying to be helpful about failing and all the ways he's failed in business. And I just remember being like, did I just fail? Was that a thing? I'm like, I guess I did. I guess on paper I just failed. So I don't know. It's been so long since I used that word, but I don't know. I'm not see, there I go. My inner me girl telling me I'm not answering your questions.
Okay. No, that's okay. Not a problem. What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
I'm really comfortable in my own skin, which is something I had to learn over these years. Really comfortable in my own skin. So I'm just going to show you who I am. I think that's part of it. I think one of my biggest gifts as a coach and a healer is I'm really good at seeing the big picture. I'm very Aquarius. I have, I don't know, 4 planets in Aquarius and several asteroids, and I'm just very Aquarius. And I think
Yeah.
one of the gifts in that is I'm just really good at pulling out. So I think one of the most healing things that I can do as your coach is when I've been working with you long enough to be able to be like, okay, let me point out this pattern that you've done it here in this relationship. You're doing it here in this relationship. You've done it over here. It's going to look a little different, but that's one of my biggest gifts that I bring is I can zoom out and see the big picture and bring that in to help you see and heal all those little parts.
Beautiful. Speaking of success, what does that word mean to you? How do you define success?
Did I show up and do my best? Would I have done anything different? Usually not. Sometimes.
Yeah.
But did I do my best with what I had at the time?
Okay.
And usually to do something different, I mean, I can't get stuck in that. I'm not immune to that. But usually it's after an aha moment. It's after some like greater awakening and reflection. And then I go, oh, I wish I would have done that differently. But I didn't at the time. I didn't. I couldn't.
It all unfolded the way it was meant to, though.
Yeah, I think that's success for me. And if I can stay out of my head, I'll feel like the curse of Aquarian.
So fucking hard. I'm an Aquarius too.
You are Aquarius
yes.
too? Yeah. If I can stay out of my fucking head.
I struggle with that so much. I am a classic overthinker.
And when we were talking about the mind, body, and spirit connection, like I literally like my temple, I can feel it in my temples when I'm overthinking. I'm like, when I got a massage last week, I was like hipped, and then I said, I'm like, you just spend like 30 minutes just on my head. I've been overthinking everything. But the big picture, right? Yeah. So the big picture of the gift of the big picture is the Aquarius. I know that if I stay out of my head, that's the answer.
Yeah, but doing it is a whole different ball of wax.
It's a gift and the curse. The gift and the curse.
For sure. What would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life? And what was your life like before learning it? And what was your life like after you learned it?
That I don't have to do anything to be worthy. And my life before was me treading water, trying to of just what can I, and that my life story, all that stuff is not unique.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unique in that it's unique to me.
It's yours,
but it's mine, but there's no shame in my shame. Is that a thing to say? Well, but that.
What does the word empowerment mean to you?
Well, when you said it, it's almost like it was a feeling. It was like being grounded in myself, coming like through my body, not through the mind, through the thinking. Like it's like this like alignment, I guess, is what the spiritual gurus would call that. That if I'm doing that, I'm coming from an empowered place.
Okay. Hey, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section. So the next grouping of questions just be 1, 2, 3.
God knows what's going to come out of my mouth.
Trust, whatever it is. Trust and allow. How would you describe yourself in one word?
Courageous.
If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
They're inherently worthy.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would that one thing be?
Hopefully the way that I can make people feel about themselves. The grace that I can give to them. Sorry, that's more than one word.
No, it's okay. No, it's like 1 to 5. We can't go on for sentences. Just a few words.
Yeah. Grace. That's my big kick I'm on is grace these days.
And we all need to learn to have grace with ourselves and be gentle
for ourselves and others.
For sure. Yeah. Absolutely. But it starts here with us first. If you had a theme song that played every time you walked into a room, what song would it be?
Oh God, something by Tom Petty for sure. I believe that Tom Petty has a lyric for every situation in life. I will die on that cross. I mean, gosh, that's probably going to depend on the day, but I always go back to that learning to fly, right? Like that. I always go back to that. Every time I'm on a landing, I'm like, oh, I'm learning to fly again.
What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
Big heart. I love how big my heart is. Okay. Right now it's feeling like that might kill me because I bet that I'm walking through grief, but also I love my big heart.
What is one thing you want but cannot buy with money?
More love.
That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. Ooh. I created and threw in a bonus question.
How'd I do?
You did awesome. You rocked it. I threw in a bonus question, but I did not send it to you ahead of time. If you could take one feeling or a belief, bottle it up, and give it to people, what would it be?
Grace, 100% for
Okay.
sure. Can I go a little deeper on that for a second?
Sure.
For a long time, especially when I was in my second store, in my first store, it probably happened a little bit, but I was definitely faking the feelings of self-love. But I would go on this rant about radical self-love. And at some point in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I said, fuck that. Self-love is another unattainable goal.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. And when I don't think so, but I think it's been marketed as that. I think it's been marketed. Oh, just love yourself already. I feel like it's
not
like body
easy.
positive. Well, I feel like body positivity has been co-opted by a bunch of skinny blondes on the internet. And I feel like that same sort of thing has happened in our hashtag culture around self-love. And I think that it's just something people throw out. And it kind of feels like this unattainable goal, like the perfect body to me. I have been leaning into grace. Grace for others is really easy for me to give. I can give somebody a mile of grace and give myself an inch, a thread, really. And that is the thing I wish for the world. Like when I think about grace, what I think is the difference between grace and self-love is, it's like grace is as wide as the Grand Canyon to me. I can flail back and forth between those walls and still be held by God or whatever we're going to call that. Grace will hold me. Grace will hold me as I flail. That love might be the little trickle of the Colorado River going through the Grand Canyon, right? And it's there. It's one of the threads. It's part of it. But the grace is where I'm going to be okay.
I don't know.
The grace is where I don't get to show up perfectly.
I think self-love is attainable. Okay. I really do believe that. It just takes work. It's not easy. And you're right. I think it's been perpetuated through media, through social media, through all of the things. Oh, just love yourself. No, it's not that easy. Because we've all been on our struggles. We're all on our paths that have, for some, taken away from the love for ourselves because of our experiences, because of how we were raised, because of conditioning, all the things. But I 1000% believe it's attainable. I really do.
Yeah, I definitely know. As you're saying that, I'm like checking it. I'm like, yeah, I do love myself, but something about it feels more layered to me than that. I don't know. It's like one of the threads. In the tapestry.
Yeah, for sure. What is one lesson that your career has taught you that you think everybody should learn at some point in their lives?
Follow my intuition and no matter what it looks like on the outside. I've closed 2 very successful businesses in my life. When I closed both of those retail stores, they were both successful. And that was counterintuitive to what the world said. And I've never regretted either one of them.
For sure.
Now, the first one, I needed to have an excuse. I couldn't quite get there on my own. I used the excuse, the opportunity in LA to be
justify
that excuse. That when I closed my second business, the pandemic was a little bit of an excuse, but only the fact that the pandemic slowed me down enough to get quiet to realize what I actually wanted. But that my business has taught me to trust my gut, follow my intuition and trust my gut.
I think it's admirable that you had the strength and the belief in yourself and the trust in yourself to follow your gut and say, even though society would have us believe, what the hell are you thinking, Jaclyn? Closing a successful business. Why would you do? Are you insane? What's wrong with you? But you followed your gut and you believed that there was a higher purpose for it and a bigger reason than you and the success of a store.
And then it goes into that what other people think is not my business. So like in the time where I closed my second store, it was during the pandemic. So the story looks like, oh, the pandemic got her store. And I was like, no. Okay, if that's what you want to think.
Yeah. And that's okay. You think that. I know what the truth is, and that's all.
If that's the story you have to put in your head for that to make sense, go ahead. That's not actually what happened.
Yeah. If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
I don't like this. My healer will do this to me sometimes. It feels very similar to this. If you were coaching you, what would you ask yourself? See, I should have read your questions ahead of time. That's what I should have done.
That's what I spent them.
Then I would have been prepared for this. I don't know. I think you've done a very good job interviewing me.
Thank you. I received that and appreciate that.
Yeah.
If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
Do they have to be alive?
No.
I'd probably Mary Magdalene. I'm fascinated by her.
I thought you were going to say Mother Teresa, to be honest.
Oh, I don't know much about her. I'm wildly fascinated by My anthropology comes up. So one of the ways I healed some of my religious trauma was going into anthropology, and I studied world religions through that. And that was before I went into therapy, and it's like in my 20s trying to figure life out. And I am wildly fascinated with unseen women in the Bible. So I don't want any of them. Pick one: Mary, Martha.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 100 Marys, but in the women and the Gnostics, like that. Like I think I often wonder what religion would look like today if they wouldn't have been erased.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Hang on, baby girl. It's going to get weird and wild, but fuck ton better.
It's going to be a fun ride.
I don't know. It's always going to be fun, but it's definitely going to be weird.
Weird can be fun. Just depends on your perspective.
And it gets better.
Yeah.
And it gets better.
Lastly, Jaclyn, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your tribe, your corner of the world, your people, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
Don't be afraid to pick up the phone and ask for support. And don't let your fear take you out. Don't let your fear be the thing that stops you from trying a new way of life. Like, you can always go and pick up the old shit again. Like, this is actually one of the things that when I'm talking to my inner child, right? So I'm going to try to keep this short. But one of the things in anthropology one of the folk tales that I learned over the years is this Caribbean folk tale about crabs in the barrel. Like, the crab fisher, this is a true thing. I was just talking to some crab fishermen yesterday out on the bayou. They literally don't have to put a lid on the barrel because the crabs will pull each other back down. So one time, some download I got at some point was like, oh, our inner children do this. They're crabs in the barrel. It's not talked about in cycle poverty, blah, 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 blah. But this happens in our healing too. And so when I feel like my inner mean girl, my younger parts, like when I'm trying to change my coping mechanisms, when I'm trying to walk through fear instead of run away from fear, I will say one of the tools that I use is I say to those crabs, I say, I understand that this is scary for you. Let me try this anyway. If it doesn't work, I can go back to your way. I never had to go back to their way. Don't tell them that. But I think that if I could give you that tool to go and ask for support, to go and help, go and try to do whatever the thing is that you're terrified to do, like, that would be it.
Beautiful. Jaclyn, thank you so much for taking and making the time to be here with me today. I appreciate you. I am so grateful to be connected to you, to call you a friend, to have you as a member of the Empowerography community. I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for your insights, your wisdom, your knowledge, and for sharing your beautiful light that you put out into the world through all the work you do. I appreciate you.
Back at you, Brad. Back at you. Thank you so much. I'm going to take that in, as you're so good at doing. I'm going to take that in. I noticed that. I don't let that. I noticed that. I will also take that in and receive that. And it has been, I'm still going for it. It's the highlight of my week to talk to you today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It has been an absolute pleasure and honor. Once again, my name is Brad Walsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Jaclyn McCabe. She is a certified professional life coach and an intuitive healer who helps women who feel they don't fit into society's mold. Jaclyn, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca, follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast, and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.